Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk and Learn the Art of Being Specific in Life. Hope you had a lovely week. Some of us would have had a hectic week, but either way, I'm thrilled to have you here with me for the first episode of our new podcast, and thank you for tuning in. So, after a busy week, let's take a step back and relax to recharge our energy and prepare for an onward journey. I have chosen the title for this series, Reality is So Unreal. I just want to share with you why I chose this title. Well, listeners, in today's world, I feel that our perception of reality is constantly evolving, often becoming so distorted that it feels detached from where it all began. And this phenomenon is particularly evident in relationships, both personal and at professional level. So when we enter into these relationships, we operate, it seems, under two types of contracts. One is a very tangible one. Like when I say tangible, I mean it's more like a legal contract. And the other one is an intangible one, which is a psychological contract. The concrete contract, usually we all adhere to it because we know that breaking it has clear consequences. However, the one that is so tricky is a psychological contract because a, first of all, it's very subjective and it only exists in the mind of those who create it. So often, when these psychological contracts are breached, people experience trauma, heartbreak, and pain at a more extensive level. Because when the tangible contracts are broken, only one party may suffer the consequences. Whereas when the psychological contract is breached, it impacts everyone that's involved in a relationship and would have more far reaching effects on their life. For the first episode in this series, we will explore a topic that is central to personal growth, and that is navigating our inner reality. At the core of our inner reality is our self perception. That is how specific we are going to go. What is our self perception? Well, self perception shapes our inner world. To foster growth in both personal and professional relationships, it's crucial to harness and refine our self perception for a more fulfilling life. So, listeners, let's start with a very simple yet profound question. How do we see ourselves? Take a moment to reflect on that. Now, take a deep breath and close your eyes. Place one hand on your upper chest and the other just below your rib cage where your heart resides. This will allow you to feel your diaphragm move as you breathe. Breathe in slowly through your nose so that your stomach moves out against your hand. Now, this is a very basic breathing technique. As we move in the episodes, we would be slowly advancing in our breathing technique. Now, I'm going to repeat that specific question again. How do we perceive ourselves? Take a deep breath and close your eyes. Place one hand on your upper chest and the other just below your rib cage where your heart resides. Now take a deep breath and close your eyes. Place one hand on your upper chest and the other just below your rib cage where your heart resides. Breathe in slowly through your nose so that your stomach moves out against your hand. How do we perceive ourselves? Hold this image that you and me hold of ourselves is our self perception. And it is such an incredibly powerful tool because it's the lens through which we view the world, influencing everything from our relationships and our career to our personal growth and happiness. What is our self perception? Briefly, self perception is essentially the collection of beliefs and attitudes you hold about yourself. It includes your self esteem, your self worth, and self image. These beliefs form over time through your experiences, interactions with others, and the messages you have received from society and culture. They transform, they evolve. In Meditations, Book 2, verse 14, Marcus Aurelius talks about the importance of understanding our own thoughts and actions. He says, "You have the power over your mind, not on the outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Realize this and you will find strength." You will only find strength, I would emphasize, if you realize this. So, realizing this is very important. So, what does it mean? It means that your true strength comes from focusing on and understanding your own inner thoughts rather than being consumed by things outside of our control. Because you don't have any control on what's happening in the outer world, because that is chaos. Imagine entering into chaos. If you're traveling through, imagine traveling through fog. Your sight will be distorted. You won't see anything. There is no clear vision there. Now, I want to share with you a very concrete psychological theory, which is self perception theory. It was proposed by Daryl Bem, where he suggested that as human being, we come to understand our attitudes and beliefs by observing our own actions. Now, this idea is very relevant in complex marital relationships, which I will be giving you an example. So, Bem's perception theory says that people infer their attitudes, emotions, and other internal states by observing their own behavior and the context in which it occurs, especially when their internal states are weak or not clear. So, this theory suggests that we understand ourselves in much the same way we will understand others, by observing behaviors and making inferences based on that behavior. So, as I said before, I would be bringing this and explaining how this manifests in complex relationship, parenting, and professional life. Imagine a person in a romantic relationship who is unsure of their feelings towards their partner. They notice that they frequently do things for their partner, like cooking dinner, planning surprises, or going out of their way to make their partner happy. They might not have strong or clear feelings initially, but over time, they begin to interpret their consistent caring behavior as an evidence that they are indeed in love. This is what Ben's perception theory suggests. So, in this case, instead of having a clear introspective understanding of their feelings from the outset, the person looks at their actions, which is frequent caring behaviors, and infers their feelings, which is love in this instant, from these actions. So, like I said, this aligns with self perception theory because it suggests that people can come to understand their own emotions by observing their own behavior in relationship and context. Now, I would take it more further specifically. For example, in relationships where friendship evolves in love, this is how it manifests. Now, I'm going to bring this example of Bem's self perception theory into the context of more difficult marital relationships. So, let's look at an initial situation where a couple is married for 11, 12, 13 years. And then suddenly one of the person starts spending more time at work and less time at home. And this person is not sure how they feel about their marriage, but has noticed a growing sense of dissatisfaction. So, this person starts to observe their own behavior, like spending long hours at work, avoiding conversations with their loved ones, and feeling, or partner, and feeling reluctant to participate in activities they used to enjoy together. And he starts to think more deeply about his feelings, but notices that these behaviors are more intense and then starts to infer their emotions from them. So, based on observing their own behavior, this person starts to conclude that they must be not happy in their marriage and starts to think, if I'm avoiding spending time at home and not engaging with my partner, I must not be satisfied in this relationship. So, as this person continues in this relationship, he starts to act in ways that distance him from his partner, and these behaviors further starts to reinforce the perception of being unhappy in the marriage. And he or she starts to think, I'm staying late at work every day because I don't want to go home. I must really not want to be in this marriage. So, over time, the self perception of being unhappy becomes so stronger or reinforced, as we call in psychology, due to the consistent behavior of avoidance and detachment. And this self perception ultimately leads this person to decide that divorce is the best course of action because they have come to believe, based on their behavior, that they no longer want to be in the marriage. So, in this example, this person's attitudes towards the marriage is shaped by observing their own behavior. Instead of introspecting deeply about their feelings or engaging in discussions with the other partner, this person starts to infer their own actions, like spending less time at home, avoiding interactions, as evidence of their feelings towards the relationship. And this process aligns with Ben's self perception theory, which suggests that people infer their attitudes and feelings from observing their own behavior when internal cues are weak or not clear. So, this theory can help us to explain how a person might come to the conclusion that they are unhappy in a marriage or in a relationship and decide to come with an outcome that is more intense, that is, for example, divorce in certain relationships, based not on introspection of deep feelings, but rather on observing their own behaviors and drawing inferences from them. So what this suggests that when you have and when you are in touch with your inner reality, which is your inner feelings, rather than observing your behaviors, you would make more justifiable actions or concrete actions. Now, there is another theory in social exchange theory, which is called behavioral exchange systems or BES perception theory. Now, this theory refers to the idea that interpersonal relationships are influenced by exchange of behaviors that are perceived as rewarding or punishing by those who are involved. And as I said, this theory is rooted in social exchange theory, which suggests that relationships are maintained based on the perceived benefits and costs associated with them. So, in context of marriages and relationship, best perception theory implies that partners continuously evaluate their interactions and behaviors to determine whether the relationship is rewarding or costly. And this is a very interesting theory because in today's world, imagine a married couple over the years in the relationship dynamics suddenly realize that the dynamics has changed. What evolved as a positive behavior suddenly takes a shift. Say example, Alex. He frequently compliments his partner and shows appreciation for their efforts around the house. And the partner, in turn, is affectionate and supportive, is often planning fun activities or enjoying time together. Now, both partners perceive their relationship as highly rewarding and have positive exchange of behaviors like compliments, affection, support, will say taking Instagram pictures. This outweigh minor conflicts or negative behaviors. Then after years later, there becomes a negative shift because over time, Alex starts to focus more on work and becomes less attentive to the partner. And he stops complimenting and often criticizes the other person for small things, such as forgetting to pick up groceries or any such things. And feeling unappreciated and hurt, the other partner withdraws emotionally and stops planning any fun activities. So, what takes toll here is the negative behavior like criticism, withdrawal, outweighs the positive ones. And both these partners start perceiving the relationship as more punishing than rewarding. And slowly, the behavior gets escalated, the negative behavior. And Alex becomes increasingly frustrated with this partner, starts withdrawing, starts expressing anger more frequently, and the partner feels attacked, being defensive, and stops communicating openly. Now, at this stage, both partners perceive the relationship as highly costly with very few rewards. And the consistent exchange of negative behaviors leads to breakdown in communication and increased emotional distance. Eventually, in this case, Alex and his partner both feel that the relationship no longer can provide enough rewards to justifying staying together. and the perception of continuous punishment, which is a negative behavior, outweighs any potential benefits, leading them to decide to divorce. Now, in this example, the perception of behavior shifted from rewarding to punishing over time. So, best perception theory, the balance of positive and negative behavioral exchanges directly impacts relationship satisfaction. So, when negative behaviors become more frequent and significantly more impactful than the positive ones, the relationship is seen as less beneficial. And this shift in perception can lead to decisions like separation or divorce, as the relationship no longer meets the emotional and psychological needs of the partner. Yet again, psychological contract. Thus, best perception theory helps explain as why some couple might choose to divorce when the perceived balance of their behavioral exchange tilts towards the negative, so negative shift, indicating a relationship is more punishing than rewarding. So, in both these instances or both these perspectives, we can see an introspection is not there. What is there is the behavior that is more center and focus. Now, when we look at uh, the perception theory, self perception theory, under the perspective of parenting, and I would bring this example like, for example, a parent may initially be uncertain about their stance on disciplining their child, and they might feel conflicted about whether they are too strict or too lenient. So, over time, they notice that they often praise the child for good behavior and give mild, constructive feedback when the child is misbehaving. And this consistent behavior might lead the parent to infer that they favor a positive reinforcement approach to the discipline. And they start observing their own actions over time and the type of discipline pattern they have. And so naturally they try to gravitate towards towards the behavior that is more positive and rewarding. And the parent starts concluding that they prefer encouraging good behavior rather than punishing bad behavior. So, this inference about their parenting style comes from self observation, not from a pre existing internal belief or what the culture and society taught them how to do parenting. So, this is how today's society functions, where this BEM's self perception theory can be seen in action. Now, if we walk it a little further and bring it to professional life, with the perspective of the self perception theory, say, for example, a newly promoted manager who's not unsure about their leadership style or their abilities. And then over several months, they notice that they often take the time to mentor a junior staff. They encourage team collaboration and prefer a more democratic style of decision making. So, despite their lack of a strong sense of leadership identity, they begin to perceive themselves as an inclusive leader, very supportive, and starts to infer that maybe I prefer a mentoring, encouraging, collaborating, and fostering behavior to something that is like called a micromanagement style. So even if they were certain about what kind of leader they want to be, looking at observing their behaviors or their actions, they provide the evidence of their leadership style, and they start to infer or starts to take that particular style as their leadership. So they start to take that particular type as so they start to take that particular style as their leadership style. So across all these examples, individuals make inferences about their internal states, whether it is love, parenting, leadership approach, or complex marital behaviors. So by observing their behaviors, they start making inferences. Now, this theory is providing a framework for understanding how people can come to understand their own attitudes and emotions, not necessarily through introspection, but through the observation of their actions in context. So, Marcus Aurelius' Stoic philosophy and Bem's self perception theory both emphasize the importance of understanding oneself through one's actions. Now, Bem's theory focuses on how people infer their internal states by observing their behavior, while Marcus Aurelius emphasizes aligning one's action with virtue and rationality. So, by combining these perspectives, one can see how observing one's actions and reflecting on whether they align with virtue's principles can lead to a deeper understanding of oneself and guide one towards a more meaningful and rational life. Now, let's break down this further. What is the role of self esteem in all this? So, self esteem is how you feel about yourself overall. It's your sense of self worth and how much you value yourself. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, how do we perceive ourselves? Or how do I perceive myself? If you visualize a positive self image, this indicates that you have a high self esteem. On the other hand, if the image reflects that you have a more negative self, then that is indicative of a low self esteem. Now, self image is a mental picture that we have of ourselves, and it includes how we see our physical appearances, personality traits, and abilities. Now, if this image has nothing to contribute positively to our meaningful life or the purpose in life, then listeners, that it's time that we change it to a more positive or constructive image. Now, why does self perception matter so much? Because it's profoundly true that it impacts our reality. Our self perception shapes our thoughts, our emotions, and behaviors. If we see ourselves as capable and worthy, we are more likely to pursue our goals with confidence and resilience. But if we perceive ourselves as inadequate or unworthy, we may hold ourselves back and create self doubt and miss out on opportunities. So ask yourself, is this view of myself helpful? If not, it's time to change that image into something positive. Now let's explore some practical ways to cultivate a healthier self perception. First and foremost, self awareness. We need to pay attention to our talk. We need to pay attention to our thoughts and self talk. Are our inner dialogues supportive or critical? Challenge negative self talk and replace it with something more positive, like affirmations. Instead of saying, I can't do this, try, I'm capable and I can handle the situation or the challenge. Have you ever experienced your mind continuously doing self talk? And in moments of self company, this self talk takes over the mind. So, in today's fast paced world, we need to find a way to disconnect from the constant noise of social media, digital devices, and everyday stress. Instead of these, replace it with more powerful tools: mindfulness, self reflection, and mental exercises. There's a lot of research that supports the idea that practicing self awareness and monitoring self talk can significantly enhance emotional well being and self esteem. I want to introduce to you a concept called Maun Vrath. Now, it's a spiritual practice, it's observed in Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, and involves maintaining silence for a specific period. So, what it basically means in short, I would say no talk fasting. So, this practice is undertaken for spiritual growth, self discipline, and inner peace. And the purpose of this observing Maun Vrath or no talk fasting is to cultivate inner peace, mindfulness, and spiritual discipline. By refraining from speaking, individuals usually can focus inwardly and reduce this mental chatter and connect more deeply with their inner selves. What is significant about this is that when you are not talking, you're connecting with yourself. And when I'm saying connecting, I don't mean the inner internal mental chatter because you abstain from speaking. And it's not that it's the practice of external silence, but also about calming the mind and avoiding unnecessary thoughts seeping into it. So in today's fast pacing world, this no talk fasting, as I call, can be seen as a way to disconnect from the constant noise of social media, digital devices, and everyday stress. You can experience a sense of deeper connection with yourself and fostering a sense of peace and tranquility over the time. So instead of focusing on the behaviors, You connect more with your internal states. Second, more effective method is to focus on your strengths and achievements. So, in a given time or in a given day where you go through relationship turmoils, both in personal and professional lives, focus on your strengths. What did you do good together? Because we often dwell on our weaknesses, but it's essential to celebrate our accomplishments, no matter how small. Progress is progress, no matter the size. And what helps in this instant is keeping a journal because it provides a small reinforcement or confidence. Even something small as a 5-minute diary can kickstart this process. Third, surround yourself with positive influences because the people you spend time with can significantly affect your self perception or significantly damage your self worth. Seek out relationships that uplift and support you. Distance yourself from those who bring you down or reinforce negative beliefs. Professionals would be more familiar with Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he highlights the importance of proactive behavior and the impact of your social environment on personal development. Covey writes, "You are the creative force of your life. No one else has the responsibility to live your life for you." This means that the people you surround yourself either empower or hinder your growth. So it's up to you who you choose to be in your life. Do you want people who contribute positively to your journey or people who have nothing to contribute? Finally, the most important thing, that is practice self compassion. Be kind to yourself, especially during difficult times. Understand that everyone makes mistake and faces setback. Treat yourself with the same compassion and understanding you would offer a friend or a loved one. Self love is the key. Self love is the destination. So, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Your self perception is not set in stone, it's a dynamic and evolving aspect of your inner reality. By becoming more aware of how you see yourself and taking intentional steps to nurture a more positive self perception, you can transform your life from inside out. So, how you see yourself is crucial. So, I ask again this question: how do you perceive yourself? If your answer is I'm confident and capable, I'm valuable and important, I'm worthy of love and respect, then listeners, welcome because you're on path to transformation and purpose. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who might benefit. Remember, transformation starts with a single step, and I'm here to take that first step with you. Until next time, stay inspired and keep transforming. I will connect with you all next Saturday at 7 p.m. in the next episode in the series Reality is So Unreal. Have a fantastic week ahead, and remember, the power to transform your life lies within you. Let's unlock it together.